if we're not basically releasing that stress, that's when it becomes extremely problematic. So guys, before we get into stress management techniques, let's talk a little bit about stress and why it's a bad thing, other than the obvious. I think, to a certain degree, people probably have some understanding or awareness that stress isn't good. They, I'm sure, are aware that they would prefer not to feel it.
Sure. But
I think that people might not really understand how bad this stuff actually is for you in the grand scheme of things. Hence why they're probably not taking some of these techniques as well. Hopefully by, arming them with this knowledge and making them aware and helping them understand just how bad stress is for them, that'll be a call to action.
I think I read an article somewhere that said 70-80% of the people that visit the hospital is for a stress-related illness or issue. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, so, look, the first bullet that I had listed here, stress causes pretty much every disease that you can imagine.
Well, that would be true, yeah.
Okay, and the reason for that is because of the havoc it wreaks on our immune system.
Yeah, and it can be physical or mental or spiritual.
It can be all that. And the another thing to point out that I don't think people are aware of this. In fact, I know most people aren't aware of it. Stress is a feeling, right? To most people, they think about stress, they think about being stressed, they think about a feeling, they think about being overwhelmed, having anxiety, just feeling shitty, whatever negative feelings come to mind when we think about being stressed. But what's actually interesting is stress is not only like a mental or psychological feeling. It's actually a physical being. Because our bodies actually store stress. And when we experience stress, if we're not managing our stress and doing stress management techniques, we basically hoard the physical stress that's associated with stressors of the past. And why that's a problem is we basically are operating in a constant state of fight or flight. And we become, a lot of the reasons why people people who would be considered soft or kind of on the weak side that aren't really, I don't want to say good under handling stress, but basically completely fall apart under stress or in stressful situations that aren't even that stressful, quite frankly. The reason that happens is because they're most likely hoarding a lot of stress from, months and years of whatever that they've been dealing with in their life. Look, we all deal with stress. But if we're not basically releasing that stress, that's when it becomes extremely problematic. And that's where chronic stress comes into play. And chronic stress is, the number one cause to most major disease and sickness.
Yeah, people are unaware. Like you'll talk to people that do body work, and they'll tell you when they work on people, sometimes they'll hit a spot where people will release something that they've been holding on to, and they'll cry or whatever. And it's interesting, right? Hold on to stuff.
What's funny is, I don't know if it's funny or a little disappointing and as far as my lack of preparation. I created a list of 6 things that I do to mitigate my stress and manage my stress. And I didn't include the body work, which I do every single week. So maybe I'll touch on that when I get to bullet point number 5, but don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here. Listen, stress is bad. Okay. It's going to cause you to get sick. It leads to every possible physical illness known to man, but it also is known to cause significant mental health issues like depression, anxiety, feelings of helplessness, and just an overall lack of purpose. So if, you're somebody who sometimes just ain't feeling it, and you're not feeling it for, a lot of times people get low and they feel depressed and they feel shitty, but they can't quite figure out why. And in most cases, it is because of this stress that you are holding in your body and not doing the proper things and taking the proper level of action to manage that stress to where it basically doesn't have control over every area of your life in a way that it's not serving you.
Yeah, you have to think of it as if you have stress, you're releasing chemicals. Those chemicals, after a while, are going to start to change things in your body and have an effect on them. And they're going to affect you on a cellular level at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And that could manifest into cancer or who knows? I mean, a million different things.
Well, we know what the hormone cortisol does. Would you like to share with the people what cortisol does?
I mean, they'll tell you that it overstresses your thyroid, and then you start to get all kinds of issues because if you're dealing with cortisol, your other hormones don't really have a chance to go and do their jobs, specifically like testosterone and estrogens that you need. The cortisol will steal that. They call it like a cortisol steal. So it can leave you just a plethora of different issues. So,
Namely, it could lead to unwanted weight gain.
oh, that too. Yeah. That's one of the things, like the chemical thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, after a while, it affects your midsection.
You know, there's been
Well,
studies done, and guys, please fact check me on this. Google this. There's been studies done that conclusively demonstrate that chronic stress and the release of cortisol, which is a byproduct of chronic stress, literally eats away at your brain.
Oh, that's interesting.
It eats away at your brain. So it will literally make you dumber, make you slower, make you, it disrupts cognitive function. Obviously, if it's eating away at parts of your brain, you're going to experience some sort of cognitive.
Which is interesting.
Right.
Because of all the issues we have with dementia today.
Well,
that
exactly.
didn't exist.
Lack of focus, memory issues, again, leading to dementia longer term. But these are all things that are obviously not advantageous to us living our best life. So we got to be aware. And, the part about cortisol, not only can it lead to weight gain when you're chronically stressed or highly stressed and constantly leaking cortisol, for lack of a better term, it's also going to make it significantly more difficult to lose weight if you're attempting to lose weight, as it were.